Hi guys, this is Krista Phelan. I want to tell you about my labor and delivery story. It was absolutely insane and it was like a 40-hour ordeal. So stay tuned, and also you're gonna meet my baby. Okay, so guys, please make sure to subscribe. I put new content out every week. If you're a mom or you love cooking or fashion or babies, that's kind of what my channel is going to be about, just motherhood, what it's like, different things. Today I'm going to be telling you my labor and delivery story. It was insane. But yeah, just make sure that you subscribe, like the videos, share them, or you can hit the bell notification and it'll actually keep you updated every time a new video is posted. So anyways, let's start with labor and delivery. So it all started on October 25th. It was a Thursday night. And I'm not sure what time, but I started feeling what felt like period cramps. Now for the whole week, on and off, I had felt kind of crampy because I did get a membrane sweep and she did an aggressive one, I guess. So I had already felt kind of crampy. Well, Thursday night, it was kind of happening hourly. I got up to go pee like every hour. And so I was realizing, I was like, that almost seemed like a pattern. So I woke up, I told my husband, I was like, it might be nothing, but this is what happened last night. So, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock rolls around and I just felt, pretty terrible. Like I said, just like period cramps. Well, 1:30 rolls around and I'm standing by the couch and all of a sudden I get hit with like something strong and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I sat down and my husband was in the room and he was like, oh my gosh, I think you just had your first contraction. So my friend Jamie was like, okay, I better take off work. Like, I don't know if this is gonna happen or not. So she takes off work and I kind of was nervous because I was like, what if I don't have this baby today? And everyone's like preparing, for a baby that might not come. I was a week and 4 days late and they were gonna induce me if I went, 3 days more. So we were just praying that this baby came out on his own. I'm pretty sure it was getting my membrane swept that really started it. So 2:20 rolls around and I have to go pick up my daughter from school. So I'm annoyed. I get in the car, I drive to her school, and I'm feeling pretty terrible. But I figured it would be a couple days, honestly, before I had him. But I was feeling pretty terrible. I remember being just irritated. I pick her up, I come home, it's like 3:30, and I'm just like, oh guys, like I don't feel good. So I text my doula and I told her what was going on and she was like, yeah, I definitely think you're in early labor, but buckle down. It could be a while, it could be days. So I was like, okay, well, that's definitely not exciting. So I'm starving, right? And my friend Jamie and I hadn't been to Golden Corral in a really long time. Well, we knew the baby was coming sometime soon, so we were all available. It was Friday night. And we have yet to go on like a double date or do anything together. So we were like, maybe to try to ignore this, let's go to dinner. So I get ready, I start vlogging. We get in the car, we start heading there, and I was really excited because, we were getting to do something for the first time and we were both really excited to go to Golden Corral. We hadn't been there in years. And apparently there was one, 45 minutes from us. So we go and it takes us an hour. We get stuck in traffic. We get to, close to the restaurant and all of a sudden I start having contractions every 5 minutes. Like there was no every 15, 10, it didn't happen. It was 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to have contractions. So we'd been timing them at that point. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? We're an hour away from home and I just got hit with these. So we go inside. It was very bizarre though because my contractions felt like just weird. Like I thought it was gonna be in my stomach or my back, right? It wasn't. It was like in my pelvis, like really down low, not my stomach at all. So it was weird. Like I didn't even think I was in labor because I didn't feel like they were a contraction that I had ever heard of. So I called the hospital and they're not concerned. They basically just said it's early labor, whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I'm at dinner and these contractions are full on contractions, 5, maybe 4 minutes apart. Some of them were like 3 minutes apart, kid you not, at the table. I'm walking, it's a buffet. So I'm walking and I'm like having to stop. This lady comes up and she's like, are you in labor? And I'm like, I think I'm in labor. So my husband's like helping me as much as we can. We finish eating, we're like, we better go. So we hop in the car. I'm having contractions 4 minutes apart at this point. We're cruising down the road. I'm starting to like feel it at this point. And so my husband runs into Marshall's and basically says, you know, my wife's in labor. I need a birthing ball now. And so they took him to the front of the line. Apparently there was like a huge line. So they take him to the front of the line. He gets a birthing ball, which thank God, that thing saved my life. I would have maybe died without that birthing ball. So we come home and Jamie asks me, she said, what do you want us to do? So I told her, I said, I just want you to pretend like this isn't happening. I want you to turn on Impractical Jokers and let's just laugh. I heard that laughter was like a form of, you know, pain medication if you're doing it naturally. And so I was like, I just want to laugh and pretend this isn't happening. Like if I'm still not supposed to be going to the hospital at this point. And so we're timing the contractions. They're still 5 minutes apart. And in my mind, I didn't want to go to the hospital and be uncomfortable. I figured, why don't we wait until I'm super close and then just kind of go have the baby there. You know what I mean? So I'm on the birth ball and we're timing them and it was awesome. We had a whole system going. So I'm sitting with my husband, holding his hand. We talked for a couple minutes, you know, and then a contraction comes. I sat up, so I was on the ball leaning over, and that's the only way that I felt relief. I did not have a break in between contraction. There was strong contraction, and then it lightened up to a mild contraction, and then it went to strong. And I, to this day, don't know why I didn't get any break. It might have been because he's in the wrong spot. So I would sit up, have the strong, you know, wave, and then I would go back on the birthing ball and just kind of bounce and just pray that the mild contraction in between would eventually taper off and go away. So we're doing that. And honestly, I'm kind of feeling like a champion because they were really strong. It was really intense, but I was doing it. And I just felt really strong. Like it made me feel very, you know, confident in my ability to handle pain. So Andrew's dad comes over to drop something off. He sees me and he goes, Krista, you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, you know, why? He's like, you're gonna have this baby at your house. So at that point, I'm like, okay, we need to go. So Andrew and I jump in the car and we head to the hospital. We've got everything in the back, you know. We get there, we go upstairs. And I just felt like nobody was hurrying, you know? To me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have a baby soon. And it was just very like, oh, let me check you in. So they get me situated and she checks me and she was like, girlfriend, you're a 7, almost an 8. How long have you been, you know, how long has this been going on? And I tell her how long and she was like, I think you're gonna have this baby soon. You need to call anybody who you want here. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So we call everybody and we call Jamie, we call our family. So Jamie shows up at 1:30. We got to the hospital at 1 a.m. I haven't been saying times at all. I guess it doesn't matter. So we get to the hospital at 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday. And we call Jamie. She gets there immediately. We call our doula. She gets there super quick too. And we basically just go into the exact same thing that we were doing at the house. So I'm on the floor. I'm on the birth ball. I'm doing the whole thing. And they dimmed the lights for me. They put blankets on the ground. I had worship going. Like I said, a birth ball. I mean, it was the same scenario as at my house, except at a hospital. And I think that's where it kind of took a turn for the worse. So I really believe that if I would have stayed at my house, I would have had my baby right there on the couch, which would have been cool, but also scary. So I probably should have done a home birth. I know that now. But I wasn't able to because of my platelets. So anyways, we're at the hospital and I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm doing all the 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 stuff. Okay. She checks me again after hours. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're still at a 7. And I'm like, no. So I had no medication at this point. It went from manageable at the house. And by manageable, I mean I couldn't talk through contractions. Like they were that strong at my house. Get to the hospital and every contraction I'm like buckling down. I'm going mentally to a place that I had been practicing, you know, going to. I'm worshiping in my mind. Hours later, I'm still at a 7. So we're maybe 3 hours in. So 4 hours in, 5 hours in, I'm totally in labor land. I mean, I'm in a place where this is the strongest I've ever had to be in my life. So they basically said, do you want us to break your water? It might, you know, be the thing that does it. And I'm like, whatever you got to do. Now I knew that when my water broke, it was going to get more intense. Whatever, just do it. So they do it. My water breaks. I'm laying on the bed. I am having the most intense contractions like I can even explain to you. It felt like they were so intense. It felt like I should be pushing the baby out, but there was no urge to push. And so I started to get a little nervous because in my mind, I kind of knew I should be pushing, like this should be going somewhere, and I don't think it is. So my doula basically said, get your butt up, get out of bed. We need to walk around. We need to do something. So it was hard, but I got out of bed. She's like, do you want to go sit on the toilet? Like a lot of times that helps. So I went, I sat down, and all I can say is that the time I was in the bathroom, like it was like an hour, I almost feel a little traumatized by it, if I'm being completely honest, because it wasn't the pain that traumatized me. I know for a fact I could have had a natural labor. I know, or natural labor and delivery. It was kind of the fear that entered the room when I was in the bathroom, because I was in there for about an hour. The nurses were gone. It was just my doula. She is literally a birth angel. But my husband was so exhausted. He had been up, you know, all night long. He was doing everything he could do, but what can you do? You know, he couldn't do anything else at this point besides just be there for me. So everyone's really, really tired. And I'm in the bathroom, and just kind of fear came in, because I'm like, I know nothing is progressing. I just knew. I know I'm not progressing. And they kept asking me, are you feeling the urge to push? Like they wanted me to be to that point. And my doula kind of even said, like, I was kind of in that space of the contractions felt like transition. It felt like I was in transition, like to have the baby, but there was no urge to push. And so I was starting to get scared because I didn't know how long I could last doing that. And so it was 7 hours later. She said, do you want me to check you? And I was so scared because I was like, oh no, I don't want you to tell me bad news. And so I was like, yeah, you know, just do it. So she checks me, and after 7 hours of doing this, I was still at a 7. And it's hard to explain, but I was in the bathroom and I started having a contraction that wouldn't end. Now, I don't know why. No one has told me like, oh yeah, that's normal or that happens. It wouldn't end. So it started in the bathroom. It was so intense. And I'm going through it. I'm like, okay, this can only possibly last a minute or two. I'm buckling down, and there was no break in between. It just stayed. And so it won't let up. It won't let up. I'm all the way to the bed at this point. She checks me. It won't let up. It's been 3 minutes. It's been 4 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. It's just like this never ending contraction. That break in between is what makes you go, okay, I can do this. And then you go back into it. It didn't end. The contraction didn't end. And so I said, what are my options? Like, I don't know that I can do this much longer, because I know that once your body is incredibly stressed out, bad things can start happening, you know? And so that, from what I understand, and she started kind of feeling like maybe we need to do something as well. So I said, what are my options? I was really scared of a C-section. And she said, you can get a shot of Pitocin. And I'm like, no, I don't think I can do Pitocin and make this more painful and more stressful. I didn't want to have a traumatic birth, you know? And I didn't want drugs. I was really sad. And she said, you can just keep doing what you're doing, or you can get an epidural. And at the time, like, it was really, really important to me to have a natural birth, but I didn't get one. And it is what it is. I truly, like, I now know the level of pain that I can handle before I break. And it was that contraction that didn't end that finally made me say, okay, there's gotta be another way. And so sadly, after like seriously a 10-minute just squeeze, like contraction that, like, seriously, I was getting panicky. I have it on film. I looked at my husband and I was like, I don't know when this is going to end. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And so I got the epidural. I can honestly say it was probably the best moment of my life, that epidural, because it literally just made my whole body relax, and I was able just to like honestly kind of enjoy the experience. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't even believe in drugs. I'm like all about natural. So I can't believe I got one. I really truly can't. And so it relaxed everything. So that's at 8 a.m. I get an epidural, 8 or 9. I don't really remember. I have been in active labor at this point since probably 11 o'clock the night before. So, I mean, it had been like math. It had been like 9 hours of active labor. So that happens. So 8 a.m. So 10 a.m. they come and check me. You're at a 7. 12 could they come in. They come and check me. 4 hours on this epidural. I'm completely relaxed at this point. And she was like, you're going backwards at this point. You're now at a 6. Your body is closing up. And I'm like, what? A friend of mine told me that if your body starts closing up and closing down, if you did not have modern medicine and you weren't in a place where you could get to drugs, that your body could close down, you could die, and your baby could die. So cool. So when I started closing, basically the nurse was like, why don't you want drugs? And so I explained it to her, and she was like, I will put you on the lowest dose of Pitocin that we have, but you need Pitocin because you're starting to go backwards. You know, it's Saturday morning at this point. I had been in labor, you know, all day Friday and Thursday night, and now Saturday morning. So she gives me Pitocin. 2 o'clock rolls around. I'm at a 7. 4 o'clock rolls around. I'm at a 7. 6 o'clock rolls around. I'm finally at an 8 or a 9. I think I was at an 8. 7 o'clock rolls around. I'm at a 9. 8 o'clock rolls around. She comes in. I am finally, or 7, I don't know. I'm at a 10. And so she said, okay, you're at a 10. You know, I'm going to get everything ready. We're going to start pushing. And it's just like, I don't have the urge to push, which that really bummed me out. I know that's silly, but I was really looking forward to that natural instinct of, okay, it's time to push the baby out. And it never happened. It's like my body just didn't want to continue on. And so it almost seems like switching the setting. I was so confident at home and so comfortable at home. I truly think I could have had the baby here, but I think the switch in the setting and being in a hospital when I really didn't want to be there, maybe it mentally, you know, shut my body down. I'm not sure. But anyways, so 8 o'clock rolls around, time to push. And I asked her, I was like, how long is this going to take? And she said, most new moms take 2 to 3 hours. And I'm like, no way, I cannot do it for 2 to 3 hours. And I said, I was exhausted at this point. I had done it naturally for a hot minute. And I was like, if I push hard, could I go faster? And she's like, well, you're at a station 0, so he's higher than we want him. But yes, you could get this done faster. So I said, okay, we're gonna get it done. They came in. I had the best nurse in the world. I had all kinds of good nurses rotating in, but this one was awesome. So every time I pushed really hard, she would say, that's the one. If you keep this up, you're gonna have this baby out in no time. And so she just like motivated the crap out of me. So I pushed for an hour. They said, your baby's about to come out. We're gonna go get the doctor. He came in. I pushed for about 20 minutes. And at 8:27, my baby was finally born. Oh, it felt like it was never gonna happen. So he was born. And this is transitioning into the meet my baby portion of this video. So he's sleeping, and we're gonna continue letting him sleep. Well, we'll see. He is my whole world. He's gonna get so irritated. So here's my baby. You're my baby. Oh my goodness. Smile. Oh my goodness. Oh! He burped. He needed to burp. He didn't burp earlier. So this is Hezekiah Rain. He was born 7 pounds, 14 ounces at 8:27 at night. He was born 19 inches long, even though the pediatrician thinks he was closer to 22 inches. Oh, he's praising the Lord. He is our our perfect little angel. He, the first couple weeks was very sleepy, like really sleepy, like hard to breastfeed because he couldn't keep himself awake to save his life. So that was the first couple weeks. And then he went through his first developmental leap and he was very fussy for that whole week. So that was really hard. And then since then, he's been really good. And I don't know, maybe he has gone through his second leap. I think that he's finishing his second leap soon, but he's been really good. He breastfeeds really well. We have officially given him a bottle. He takes the bottle really nicely. We only give it to him occasionally if dad's got him. I never leave. I haven't left him yet, but they say introduce the bottle at like, 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. So we did that. He likes his binky. He's not obsessed with it, but he does take the binky when he's fussy. So that really helps us. As far as sleep, he's so good. So at first he was doing the every 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, I would wake him up. And then once he gained a good amount of weight, I didn't have to do that anymore. So now he is sleeping quite well, like 3 hours, 4 hours, probably like 4 hours, and then he'll wake up and like maybe even 4 hours again. So to me, that's really good because I can live off that. That's not making me sleep deprived. At first I had really dark circles under my eyes because I was very tired waking up every 2 to 3 hours, but he's doing really well. And it really excites me because I put him in his crib at least once in the night, awake, like drowsy, but awake, and he puts himself to sleep every single time. And so I bet you I could put him in there wide awake, like at night, and I bet you he'd fall asleep. Sometimes he cries though when I do that, and I don't really like it. So I feel like he's just gonna do really well with being in a crib. Like he's not attached to sleeping with me at night. We don't co-sleep as like a first choice. There are times where he has acid reflux and we're praying over that, and we are actually not coming into agreement with that. But he does do some grunting and things at night that make me really uncomfortable. And so we've got him elevated in his crib, and we use the thing called Rest where it kind of straps him in. It's not a sleep positioner. It's not dangerous. It's totally safe. I could put a picture of it. I think it was in my last video, but I like him in his crib. Occasionally I'll take him out when he's grunting and I'll lay with him, and occasionally I'll fall asleep with him in my arms if he's having a really rough night. And I always, and I can actually say always because 100% of the time I've woken up in the exact same position that I fell asleep with him in. So I am falling asleep, but I'm not like moving around. However, it makes me nervous. I don't want to accidentally roll over on him or have anything happen to him where I, hate my life forever and ever and ever. So he sleeps in his crib, and that's where he is going to stay. Plus, I don't sleep that well when he's in our bed, I'm awake just because I can't roll over on my stomach and all that. So anyways, that's my story. That's my almost natural, I tried my best story. And even though there were drugs involved, and even though I had to do it in a hospital setting and that wasn't the goal, and even though I didn't get my, birth center birth, who cares? Like, I've taken drugs in the past. Don't act like I didn't party in my old life. Oh, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Look. Yeah, but oh well. Oh my goodness, he's so worth it. He is my whole world, my whole life, my every thought, my everything right here in one little baby. You really don't know love until you have a baby. So anyways, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. Please subscribe. Like I said, I'm going to be posting lots of mom videos, lots of tips and tricks, lots of reviews, lots of cooking for baby, cooking for daughter, cooking for husband, mom fashion, just all the stuff. So please subscribe, hit the bell. It'll give you a notification every time there's a new video. Like, share, comment. I love talking to you guys. Please leave me your labor and delivery stories in the comments. I would love to hear how they went, or if you have any questions or comments, that'd be so awesome. You guys are actually the bomb, and I love you all, and I will talk to you next video. Bye! Oh, I woke him up. He's don't like that. He don't like that voice.